Ladies and gentlemen, round 17 has just finished, but I thought to myself, I'm going to answer the question I've been getting: who can win the grand final? So I've got 8 or 9 teams that I think have a genuine chance of winning the flag, lifting that trophy at the end of the year. But before I do that, I need to find out who's going to make the 8, because I might have teams like the Lions, Collingwood, the Giants in this, but will they even make the 8 in the first place? So I'm going to really quickly go through every round. I'm not going to choose too many upsets, if any. I'm just going to choose the logical choice. And this might not be the 8, but this is what I think. Collingwood against Geelong. We're going to do a Collingwood victory. Even though they're injured, they should win that. This is a really interesting game, sorry. But at Tassie, I just back Hawthorn in. This is the Sydney victory. This should be a really interesting game as well. Both coming off a loss. The Dogs are good. Carlton are great. I'm just going to go just Carlton given their form. Melbourne at the G. Can they beat Essendon? I think they just will, given they're kind of coming back into form. Let's do this quickly. Adelaide at home will be too good. Gold Coast seem to only win away from home. The Giants will beat Richmond. You will lose. The Lions will win that. And Essendon will win that comfortably. I think the Giants will just win that match. Saints win that. I think Collingwood, you've got to back them against Hawthorn. They're losing form now, the Hawks. Geelong at home will be too strong. Port Adelaide at home will be too strong. This should be a great match, but they back the Lions at the Gabba. I back Fremantle at home. I also back Carlton at home. 2 games in a row. North are good, but you think Geelong win that? Oh, this will be interesting, but Gold Coast at home you think will be too strong. This should also be interesting, but I just back the Dons. I back the Dons, and I back Melbourne against the Giants. No, I'm going to back the Giants in an upset win. Fremantle at home will be too strong. Collingwood will beat Richmond easily. Swans, in fact, the Swans will just win that match. This should be a really good match, but I'm just going to go with Adelaide. Also, this should be a great match, but I'm going to go with the Dogs. Gold Coast away from home. Can they beat the West Coast Eagles? They're in awful form, so I'm going to say they can get a home on the away win, sorry. I back Richmond in this just because I'm blind. Actually, you know what? We probably won't win that. Geelong will beat you. This is going to be a great game, but I'm just going to go with Collingwood because they have the edge against Carlton for some reason. Port at home, I think, will just get a victory against the Swans. I think the Giants will be a bit too strong for Hawthorn. I think Essendon will get a great victory against Fremantle. Should be interesting in this, but you got to go with the Lions. You got to go with the Swans here. You got to go with the Lions. I'm going to go with North. I'm also going to go with Fremantle here. Essendon seem to be too strong against Gold Coast. Great game here, but we're just going to go with Melbourne. I think Carlton get the victory there. This should be a good game, but I'm just going to go with Richmond because I am slightly biased. Adelaide against... this is a hard one. This is a very hard one, but I do not trust the Western Bulldogs, so we're going to go with Adelaide there. This is an interesting game, but I just think the Swans have it against the Essendon Football Club. Gold Coast at home are too good. I think the Giants could beat Fremantle at home. Grand final rematch, but Collingwood would get the job done. Essendon, St Kilda, I think I backed them against Geelong for some reason. A showdown rematch, Port Adelaide will win. The Dogs always beat North Melbourne. Hawks will beat Richmond. Carlton will beat West Coast. Brisbane will beat Essendon at home. Carlton will dominate St Kilda. Geelong will dominate West Coast. Hawthorn will dominate North. Collingwood always beat Melbourne. I think Richmond will get an upset win against Gold Coast. Bias once again. Sydney are too strong at home. Grudge match, but I back the Dogs. Back Fremantle. And this is my apparent final ladder. Sydney, Carlton, Collingwood, Fremantle, Brisbane, Essendon, Geelong, and the Giants. Now, like I said, I'd done some upsets there, but apparently, according to this is my final ladder. Now, we're going to ignore all these predictions down here because we don't really care too much about that. I wanted to discuss with you who do I think can win the flag, and I'm going to order them from number 1 to number 8, assuming this is the final list, but we might add a 9 and 10 in. I think the team most likely to win the flag are the Carlton Football Club. Carlton, I just think they're timing it better than Sydney. Sydney are out of form and they look to be timing it a bit worse. Before we get into the discussion, the really important thing about winning the flag is not just the best team all year. First of all, you have to have a game style that stands up in finals. So it has to be contested. You've got to be good at contested possessions, clearances, a strong midfield core. You need to come into the finals with form. How many times have we seen first place at the end of home race season not win the flag? Almost every year, the team that wins the flag does not finish first. In fact, it's extremely uncommon in recent years, the last 10, 20 years, for first place to win the flag. Third, and I think extraordinarily important. Oh wait, is that it? Yeah, I think it's just form and midfield. And there's a bunch of other things, but you know, injuries come into account, who you actually play in the finals. But timing and the form is everything. You want to time the run perfectly. How many times have we seen a team come into the finals with form in third or fourth, maybe fifth, and they make the grand final? So in saying that, let's go through every team. Number one, like I said, is Carlton. I think they're going to time it the best. They look most likely to finish top 2. First and second is the same as long as you get the home final and a second chance. Their midfield stands up. The finals game style, we saw it last year, it stood up. They have the game style and the team and the list and the lack of injuries to win the flag, and I think they're most likely. Now, Collingwood could easily not finish top 4. I've said they have, but I've given them some upset wins, but they could so easily not finish top 4. They've got some really hard games. Second place, I am going to put Sydney. Second place, Sydney. Sydney, I think, although they've been the best team all year, they're not timing it as well. I don't think they have as good of a list for finals or game style for finals. Not as contested. They're a bit more of a pretty team. I don't rate some of their forwards. I think they might struggle there. And even though they've been the best team all year, I don't think they're the most likely to win the flag. Third, I have in third place Collingwood. Now Collingwood, if they just make the 8, I think they are the third team most likely to win the flag. If Collingwood make the top 4, I think they could easily jump into the most likely to win the flag. Collingwood, I think, will time it. They're out of form right now. I think they will easily time it, and if McRae gets into the top 8, they should be in form. And I think I back Collingwood and McRae to be in form. We all know they can stand up in finals. They won the grand final last year. I think the main concern with Collingwood is the injuries. They've just lost Brody Marchek for the year. At least for the home and away season, not sure if he's going to come back. Massive loss, losing your main key forward. They're looking a bit dodgy, and to be completely honest, there is a genuine chance they don't make the top 4, let alone the top 8. But I still think they're third most likely to win the flag. In fourth, the team fourth most likely to win the flag, this is where it gets a bit interesting. I'm going to choose the Essendon Football Club. And I could choose Fremantle or Essendon. They're both on the same points. In fact, the only thing that splits Freo, Brisbane, and Essendon is percentage. I think Essendon is a bit like Richmond in 2017. Richmond in 2017, we hadn't won a final for decades. And when we won that first final, the world opened up, and we felt as a club and as a supporter group, we felt invincible. I think if Essendon finish in that top 6, if they win that first final, I think there is a massive chance they can win the flag, because if the hype's there and that energy is there, which it will be, especially if they win that first final, I think they are a genuine chance to win. I think they have the midfielders to get that contested possession game up in finals. I think they have the big game players, and that's another thing you need. You need big game players. I think they have that. I think they're fourth most likely. Fifth most likely, it depends. I think Geelong are a good shout for fifth most likely, but I think I'm going to choose the Fremantle Football Club as fifth most likely. I think defensively they're amazing. I think Sarong and Brayshaw are enough to handle. In fact, Fremantle this year have been one of the best, if not the best, contested possession team, clearance team. That's a great game style to have. Like I said, they're defensively solid. The only concern is if you shut down Josh Tracy, however you pronounce his name, it's unlikely they'll get the win. But I think they're fifth most likely. Sixth most likely, I think, is Geelong. Even though they're struggling right now, they have some winnable games, and they could easily finish in the top 4. And I think if they do that, they can win the flag. My only reason is why they're in 6, not the top 3 or 4 to win the flag for me, is unfortunately I don't think they have the midfield to stack up against the likes of the Carltons, the Collingwoods, the Brisbane midfields. That's why they're in 6th. In 7th place, I've got the Brisbane Lions. I'm massive on Brisbane. They probably won't finish 5th. I tip them to win far more games than what they should, to be completely honest with you. So the chance of them finishing in 5th is quite low. I back them too much. In fact, the likelihood is they'll finish around 7th or 8th. Brisbane, I think the problem with them is they're timing their form too early. They've won their last 5 games in a row at the time of recording, and they're looking great. But how long can this form last? If it lasts a whole year, the problem with Brisbane is every game since like round 5 has felt like a final to them. And that's why I think they're very unlikely to win the flag. Not because they don't have the team, they do, We've seen last year they made the grand final. Neil, Dunkley as a midfield group pair is amazing. They have the team, but I think the fact that every game has felt like a final to them, that energy by the time finals comes up is going to be sapped. And I think if you compare the energies between an Essendon and a Brisbane, or a Fremantle as well, Fremantle, Essendon, I think will have loads of energy in the final. I think Brisbane, they've been there, it's not as exciting, and their energy will just be gone from all the finals, all the games that have felt like finals. 8th place, I've got the Giants in there. I think the Giants might not make the 8, and it's a 50-50 shout, but if they do, they're as good of a team as any on their day. Unfortunately with the Giants, I just can't trust them, and even though they do have a game style perfectly suited for finals, we've seen it year after year in finals, they have that dog, that fight in them. If you finish in 8th place, you're super unlikely. And if I had to choose a 9th or a 10th place, I think 9th would probably be the Dogs, and 10th Port Adelaide. But realistically, the top 8 I have here, I think are the top 8 most likely to win the flag. Even if Port make the 8, I think they're way too young. Even though they have the midfield, I just don't back them. Gold Coast, over the finals away from home, they're not winning it. The Dogs, they do have a great chance, and they're the most likely out of the 8 for me, but you would just think you cannot trust them at all. Bevo can't get them firing. Melbourne, no Petrarca, and then the rest of the teams look super unlikely. That's just my opinion. In the comments, let me know what your opinion is. Who do you think is most likely to win the flag? Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Follow the TikTok FTFooty, and I'll be seeing you in another video.